This Overland setup fixed three major headaches most products overlooked. First, I want a bed rack, but still keep a tonneau covered. Second, I want a rooftop tent with awning and solar panels, but still keep everything below the cab. And third, I need everything to handle off-road. Like really off-road. So in this video, I will explain why no off-the-shelf products could fit my need, and how I built a system that checked all the boxes, but without paying the Overland tax. After 1 year of real use, I will also share what actually held up and what I have to change. Alright, let's get started. My Tundra already came with a decent retractable cover, but most Overland bed racks mount inside the bed, which interferes with hard shell covers. The most common solution is a tonneau cover with integrated T-slots, but structurally, it gets a little sketchy. A T-slot cover still uses the same thin mounting rails as the standard version. It literally just added a T-slot on top. A common misconception is that the weight simply pushes down on the bed rail, so the T-slot doesn't really do much. That is true on flat ground, but if we go off-road, every bump will try to lift everything off the bed. And this upwards dynamic force is carried entirely by this thin aluminum rail, which is usually clamped to just the lip of the bed. The only company that acknowledged this issue was Leitner Design. When mounted directly to the bed, their rack is rated for 800 pounds on-road and 400 pounds off-road. But when mounted to a tonneau cover, Leitner cut the on-road rating in half and doesn't recommend any off-road rating.
Because the rack is secured to the truck by the mounting hardware of the tonneau, we cannot recommend a safe off-road weight limit.
The closest product that solved this dilemma was the SR base system from Thule. Unlike everything else we saw thus far, the SR base rails mount into the stake pockets. The stake pockets are a very structural part of the bed, but they are completely outside the tonneau cover. Unfortunately, all SR racks were full height, which didn't work with my requirement number 2. At this point, there were no off-the-shelf products that could check all three boxes, so I decided to build one myself. Inspired by the Thule SR base, I made my own stake pocket rails with two 6 feet long T-slot extrusions from Amazon, which cost me $220 with shipping. These extrusions were actually made in the USA by a company called 8020. Coincidentally, the profile I bought was also called 8020. I did eventually switch to the taller 8040 rails, which I will explain why later in the video. After measuring the spacing for the stake pockets, I drilled the mounting holes for N10 bolts. To mount into the stake pockets, I purchased the official rubber blocks and nut plates from Thule, and here is how they work. As I tighten the M10 bolt, the nut plate compresses the rubber block inside the stake pocket. The rubber eventually flattens out and clamps the extrusion onto the bed rail. This creates a high vertical preload to the structural part of the bed. And this vertical preload, or clamping force, is the key ingredient missing from the tonneau cover. With these base rails in place, I could pretty much mount any bed racks anywhere along the bed. So I bought a universal bed rack from Amazon for a scary price of $150. Now, all those red trims and shiny bowheads made it feel extra cheap. But you know what? Beneath the cheap look, this thing actually had a pretty solid structure. Parts for the 4 uprights had a ton of reinforcement features and were interlocked together pretty cleverly. The crossbars were also heavy duty and nicely cradled by the uprights. And once I removed all the wrapped plastics and replaced all screws with black stainless steel ones, it actually started to look kinda premium. But I still wasn't a fan of how far these end pieces stuck out, So I designed a low-profile end cap and 3D printed them out of PETG. Now that is a good-looking rack that checked all 3 boxes. By the way, I will link all these bits and pieces in the description below. But to really solve my requirement number 2, it took way more than just a mid-height rack. So let's get back to work. But first, I want to quickly explain why I was so adamant about keeping everything behind the cab. Most rooftop tent setups look like this, but at highway speed, it generates a lot of noise. And especially for my regular cab, this noise source is positioned right above my head. But if I tuck the tent behind the cab, all that immediately went away. This also significantly reduced drag, which means better fuel economy and a longer range. This is extra crucial for my RCSB, because my short wheelbase could only fit the smaller fuel tank. For these reasons, I worked with Top and got their Galaxy Pro. And I specifically chose this tent for 3 particular features. First, most wedge-style tents are pretty long and will overhang the tailgate. But this tent came in at 83 inches long, which was a perfect fit about my 6.5 foot bed. It could get away with being this short because of the reverse bump out, which makes much better use of the internal length. When I had just the tent, it was hidden completely behind the cab. It added 0 additional wind noise, and I actually got 17 miles per gallon or a near 400-mile range with 37-inch tires. I documented my full 1,000-mile MPG test in another video, and I will link it in the description below. The second reason I chose this tent was for my solar panels. Traditionally, I need to run additional crossbars to mount the panels, which add a lot of height. But Top had these built-in T-slot on top, which were perfectly spaced for most 200-watt panels. To secure them in place, I installed some M8 rib nuts on the side of the frame, so that I can bolt them down directly to the tent. But to make this off-road worthy, I also added 6 rubber feet under each panel to support it all the way across. Now, you may ask, why didn't I go with flexible panels that tape directly on the roof? That was because the black aluminum roof can get extremely hot, and that was the #1 killer of solar efficiency. With the air gap below my rigid panels, I actually achieved more than 400 watts in the middle of the summer, while still being as low as possible. The third reason I chose Top was its matching 270-degree awning. Traditionally, an awning sticks out a lot to the side and is a huge pain going through tight trails. But because Top designed this awning with the exact same profile as their tent, I was able to offset the tent and keep the awning as tucked in as possible. And when deployed, it also left a much smaller gap above my door. Now, for most 270-degree awnings, this gap in the back is always a pain to deal with. But if I also deploy the tent, the reverse bump out and rainfly perfectly overlaps these gaps.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Except it wasn't. Over the past year, I actually had to do some major revamps on 3 major components. So let's talk about those. The first issue was the retractable tonneau cover that came with my truck. After my first off-road trip, the sliding mechanism became very bindy, probably from all the dust. But the bigger problem was that the roll canister got in the way a lot more than I thought. So I decided to take it off. And while doing so, I also found the canister severely damaged the paint behind. Yeah, this thing went straight into trash. To address all those issues, Conrad from Trail Tacoma hooked me up with a hard roll-out cover from Real Truck. This type of cover has a much simpler construction, so it will never bind from dust and mud. Now, there were several hard roll-up models on the market, but I specifically chose the back revolver X4S for this one mechanism. All other brands use this Velcro strip along the sides to hold down the aluminum slats. But the back revolver uses a mechanical hold down that runs the entire length. So it is far more durable and easy to use. Compared to the retractable, the hard roll-up basically relocates the roll to above the bed, which in my opinion is a much better allocation of usable space. However, the roll did ever so slightly interfere with my tapered bed rack. This was why I switched out my 80-20 rails with 80-40. The extra 20mm height was just enough to clear the roll. But as a bonus, the 80-40 also came in black. So I also added black bolt head covers, black extrusion end caps, as well as black dust covers for the extra T-slots. Now that looked like $1,000, but it actually cost way less than the Thule SR base. The second component was my scary cheap Amazon bed rack. After my first off-road trip, most of the screws got loose. Then I realized when I swap out all the screws for black ones, I forgot to use any thread locker. So I backed everything out and applied blue Loctite. But another issue was that these top screws were originally button head and were difficult to tighten with high torque. So I switched to socket head screws that came with a larger hex drive. I also added these heavy vibration resistant lock washers. Now that's not going anywhere. The last issue was my awning. And this one took a little more engineering. Right upon installation, I questioned the strength of these awning brackets. This dimension just looked way too small for the amount of leverage from the awning. As you can see, I could easily flex the bracket by hand. And just driving around town created pretty significant wobble. So just imagine what would happen if I do this. Upon closer inspection, I realized not all deflection came from the brackets. Another big part actually came from the 10th floor. Basically, this whole section became a diving board with a 64-pound awning hanging off the end. Although the floor wasn't being overstressed like the brackets, the extra flex was pretty annoying. So I had to do something about it. Because I offset my tent, my awning actually lit above the crossbar. So I designed and made two simple L brackets and support the awning directly from underneath. To quantify how much difference they actually made, I hung 50 pounds on the awning and measured the flex with a dial indicator. By just adding two simple L brackets, I reduced the total deflection by over 20x. Basically, this giant diving board is now supported on both ends, and we pretty much eliminate the bending on the brackets. Now, I want to point out that most companies have been selling the same awning brackets for years, and most people have been just fine. But guess what? This actually happened to a friend of mine on the highway, and it felt exactly where I had concern with. However, around mid-2025, Top Oak actually released a new awning bracket. By adding this leg, the new design has 4x the mechanical advantage over the previous one. Now, this still wouldn't stop the 10th floor from flexing, but at least it should prevent this. As of right now, Top Oak is the only company I know that redesigned this awning bracket. Okay, although my setup could be classified as a budget build, it actually solved problems most high-end setups could not. Now, you're probably impressed by these CFD simulations I showed earlier. These were made possible by AirShaper, and they really offer a ton of insights. In fact, we are working together on a dedicated video about aerodynamics of Overland trucks. So subscribe if you want to see that. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.